Coming up on the front line of filth. The enforcement officers stubbing out litter louts in Essex.
The fine is £100.
What?
Cleaning up the bowels of payday carnage in Bristol.
Oh, that's terrible.
Stinks, doesn't it?
Yeah, vile.
And in Harrow, one investigator's battle to bring down one of the most prolific fly tippers he'd ever encountered.
I have a passionate hatred of fly tippers. I'm pretty driven to catch them.
Night after night, an invisible army of unsung heroes are grafting away to keep our streets clean.
We've got 2 big sweepers, 4 dust carts, 2 street vans. They're probably going until about 5, 6 o'clock this morning.
With our bustling nighttime economy worth £66 billion a year, the extra boozing footfall creates a tidal wave of litter and drunken mess for our grime busters to battle.
Condom wrappers, condoms, the best thing to be picking up first thing in the morning.
Without them, we'd be knee-deep in filth.
Morning, mate.
Morning.
It's 5 a.m. in Bristol.
Can I have the keys for YPZ, please? And bags as well. Thank you very much. Cheers, Martin.
Cheers.
For street sweepers Alan and Paul, it's the start of a 6-hour shift and their toughest of the month, cleansing the extra volume of kebabs, pizza, beer bottles and all manner of bodily fluid left behind
Right, I'll fire her out. We'll check the lights.
by the weekend's drunken payday revellers.
Yeah. Throw
Okay.
the beacons, Paul. Yeah, they're on.
All right?
Yeah.
Everything's fine with the vehicle? Where are we starting first?
In the upper room, mate.
Is it just the 2 of us?
Yeah, there's 2 of us, mate.
I always get stuck with the old ones, like you. Are you feeling well?
Bit under the weather.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you look it.
A shared sense of humour will be their salvation when they face the filth. The aftermath of city centre drinking is never a pretty sight, because hand in hand with boozing is fast food feasting. And as all good road sweepers know, what goes in must come out.
Absolutely filthy. Condoms, kebab, sick, litter.
Pizza boxes, broken bottles, cans of Coke, cans of beer.
Oh, to be honest.
Overindulgence can turn a party zone into a war zone. And with 400,000 binge drinkers needing medical help in the UK last year, a fleet of pop-up ambulances help keep revellers out of A&E.
Unfortunately, we get people that poo, vomit all over the ambulances and the centre. As the night goes on, the bins start overflowing, there's rubbish everywhere, there's people urinating in the street. When we leave at 5 o'clock, it does look like a bomb's hit it.
And while the paramedics mop up the human casualties, Alan and Paul mop up the 6 tons of drunken carnage left behind.
It's a bit of your right mess.
Everybody have their pay.
Yeah, that's right.
There's always sick about, and you're always going to come across human
Excrement.
excrement and all that. You know, it's bad enough with dogs and things like that,
Yeah.
but when you come across actually people doing it.
Yeah.
Right, here we are. Let's see what we're going to come across today.
Yeah.
Because you never know with this job what
No.
you're going to find.
In just 4 hours, the shops will open and families will walk these streets. So for Alan and Paul, the clock's ticking to get this city squeaky clean. While the teams in Bristol clear up an almighty mess while we sleep, across the country, enforcers working waking hours are tasked with catching the litter louts dumping rubbish on our streets. And with more than 2 million pieces of litter dumped in the UK every year, it's a never-ending battle.
And that's blocked from litter, so that's disgusting.
And in Braintree, Essex, waste enforcement officers are waging war on the UK's most commonly found type of litter, the cigarette butt.
Excuse me,
Excuse me, madam.
You'd witness throwing down your cigarette, that's littering, that is an offence.
They might be small, but when smokers casually flick them on the pavement, the plastics, metals and nicotine in the filters take 10 years to break down, which has a huge impact on the environment. Sharing a no-nonsense approach are street scene protection enforcers Claire
You do not have to say anything, but anything you do say may be given in evidence.
and her partner in Grime, Mark.
It's not the having the fag that's the problem. It's what you do with the bit at the end that's the problem.
When it comes to dishing out fines, they take no prisoners, no matter how small the litter may be.
Well, if it was down to me, I'd penalise the people who flick the ash, let alone leave the cigarette butts everywhere.
It's definitely a new kind of wall art, isn't it? Banksy, eat your heart out.
They're led by a zero-tolerance boss, ex-military man Stuart Thompson, who runs a tight ship.
Plan of action for today. Claire, Mark, I want you guys out doing litter enforcement. Do we all know what we're doing?
We do, yes.
Yeah? One of the main ones we're catching for is cigarette butts. People seem to not consider cigarette butts as litter, but they are. And the only other way they learn is when they get a fixed penalty notice. £100 out your pocket is expensive. It's an expensive fag. We know the offences occurring out there. I want fixed penalty notices on people. No excuses, no ifs, no buts.
Around 122 tons of cigarette butts are dropped every day across the UK.
You're after my title of #1 enforcer today, then, are you?
I'm not after it, I'm actually it.
It's 10 a.m, and Stuart's most fearless enforcers, Claire and Mark, are heading to the picturesque market town of Witham. And they have a warning for any smoker they see. Stop it and bin it, or face a £100 fine.
Hit them where it hurts, and
Yes,
that is
the
purse. Oh, come on, I was trying to rhyme.
Hit them where it hurts, in the purse.
In the purse.
Yeah.
Cigarette butts are everywhere. But only 11% of smokers realise it's an illegal act to drop them on the streets. Step 1 on Fag Butt Patrol. Identify subject.
There's a lady just in front of us who has just lit up a cigarette, and the one in the fur coat.
Their target's on the move. Step 2, track and observe.
Where did it go?
Still got it.
Step 3,
She's actually dead-headed it in her hand.
if a crime's committed, gather evidence.
It's there, isn't it? Smoking.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Step 4, close in on the offender.
She's gone into the shop. We are like little Rottweilers, if you like.
Little does the fag butt thrower know, she's in line for a £100 fine.
Mark's got a spot on them, so we're not going to let them get away.
But Claire and Mark have to catch her first. Coming up, in Harrow, the law catches up with a 4.5-ton dump-and-run fly tipper.
He was just chucking them on the road in the end. You know, just throwing the rubbish out everywhere.
And Bristol street cleaners face their nemesis as payday revellers unleash both barrels.
Oh, a bit of puke as well.
Is there?
Yeah.
In Witham, Essex, enforcers Claire and Mark are on the trail of a fag butt litterer.
She's walked along, and now she's gone into the shop. She's dropped it on her way in, so we will catch her on her way out.
Mark's got a spot on the offender inside, but with another exit around the back, they're going for an old classic, the pincer move.
What we're going to have to do is walk round the side of the shop towards the back, then she'll be cautioned, and then she'll be issued with a fixed penalty notice.
As she emerges, Mark's on the offender's tail, and Claire swoops in.
Excuse me, you disposed of your cigarette end, the other side of the shop, onto the floor. Are you aware that that's littering? No. It is actually a littering offence, so I have to caution you. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention, when questioned, something which you later rely on in court.
How much is it?
It's £100, but if paid within 10 days, it goes down to 75.
OK.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
With 70% of our streets clogged by the casually flicked smoker, people are more likely to pick up dog poo than cigarette butts. But both are punishable offences.
I've got no sympathy for them.
No?
No, an offence is an offence as far as I'm concerned. And it's people like me and you who come out to work, pay our council taxes. We're the ones who are paying to have that cleared up.
True.
So why should we pay for somebody else's mistake?
There's no ifs or buts for Whittam's fag end tossers.
You should be driving me!
And they're not the only ones having a bad day.
It's a very angry town here today, isn't it?
It seems to be that way. That's got to be the second road rage.
And we're just going to make it worse.
We're not going to bring anything to this atmosphere, are we, today?
No.
No.
The town is packed with potential offenders. And with one offence bagged, Claire's hungry for more.
I really thought she was going to throw that down. No.
As long as one of us has got the nose.
You've definitely got the nose.
What, a Roman nose?
What, Roman all over your face?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not easy sniffing out the true offenders, but Claire sharpens her senses.
Excuse me, sir.
Excuse me, can I have a word with you for a second, please? Sorry, Yeah,
Unfortunately, you've already committed the offence of littering.
Want to please put a cigarette in a bin that potentially could catch light?
There's a stubby out bin around the corner here.
There should be some signs for that, should there be?
No, it's your responsibility to find somewhere to put it. It's not anybody else's responsibility if you're going to smoke on where you put your litter. Right. It's like anything else. When you buy a sandwich from a shop, you don't then look for a sign of where to dispose that litter. So hopefully, lesson learned, and you'll find a different way of disposing your fag ends in the future.
OK, thank you. Cheers, bye-bye.
Mark and Claire may not pull any punches when it comes to litter louts, but it's not always easy.
Have you ever been assaulted at all?
No, not physically. I've had verbal abuse.
Really?
Yeah, you must have had that.
Once or twice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But nothing stops these two. Time for another round of Spot the Fag Butt Thrower.
Excuse me, sir, can I have a word, please? Could you come in, Rachel Council Enforcement Officer, Street Scene. You've just been witness littering.
OK.
That does...
Can I pick it up, or...?
No. Well, you can afterwards, that'd be appreciated, but the offence is still the offence.
Zero tolerance and £100 fine makes for a very expensive fag break.
The fine is £100.
What? I've literally just come on my lunch break at work, having a cigarette.
And you've
lit... no ashtray out here.
And we don't have to provide ashtrays.
Can we just hurry up? I've got an hour lunch.
Well, if you hadn't littered, you'd have an hour lunch inside.
That is a joke, though, isn't it? £100.
Why is it a joke? Why do you feel that...
No ashtrays out here. Mate, don't litter, by the way.
OK, then, thank you very much.
Right, thanks, have a good day.
Cheers.
Thank you. So he wasn't a happy chappy, was he?
We've just added to the number of very upset people in Whittam this morning, haven't we?
I think we have, yeah.
Time for a cigarette, time to pay a fine.
While Claire and Mark's penalties hit the cigarette butt tossers where it hurts, the stakes are much higher for the criminal fly tippers blighting our landscape. Nearly 3,000 fly tips are reported daily in the UK.
We've got an incident with a Luton van where it's possibly fly tipped.
With white van, fly-by-night tippers making up the worst culprits.
You're fly tipping, aren't you? Yeah? Have you got a carrier's licence?
Knocking on doors, taking away waste for cash, these opportunist criminals dump without remorse.
It's asbestos, it's illegal to dump it. Yeah, get it all back in.
But councils are cracking down, hitting fly tippers with over £1 million worth of fines last year. And leading the battle in Greater London is Enforcement Officer Andreas Holden.
At the top end of the scale, big companies disposing of lots of waste and chemicals and hazardous waste, down to ordinary householders just failing to control their waste properly and throwing it out onto the road sort of thing.
A recent spate of fly tips on his patch set off alarm bells for Andreas.
I was working on a case that had some fly tipping. It became apparent that cases I was looking at were down to the same person. Quite small, gather up, dump, move on, collect some more, gather up, move on. It was only when they actually started to collate and realised that they were tied to the same person that you realised there was quite a scale to this operation.
The serial fly tipper appeared to be using Harrow as a tipping ground. With its easy links to the M1 and M40, he could dump and run. The brazen fly tipper operated in broad daylight, dumping a van load of household waste in a back lane. But his confidence would be his undoing.
The resident, fortunately, has got some CCTV around the site, and they captured it all, and this is a still from the footage. Once I tracked the vehicle through and got who it was insured by, then I knew the owner, and at that time it then flared up that the same van had dumped all of this waste into another garage site. And there was quite a bit larger items in that one. So we knew now that it was someone who's doing this as a business, collecting waste and then just dumping it in garage sites.
Andreas had identified his man, a 65-year-old who lived locally. But he'd only just scratched the surface of his offender's murky activity.
I have a passionate hatred of fly tippers. They will dump fuel, they will dump oil, they will dump into watercourses. They really are indifferent to the health of the planet, basically. I'm pretty driven to catch them.
Determined to gather more evidence, Andreas was on a mission to end the serial fly tipper's reign of terror once and for all. Trailing a different type of litter offender, in Bristol, Alan and Paul are kitting up to tackle the carnage left by payday drinkers on its city centre streets.
I'll get the bins, mate.
Get the bins off, I'll get the tools. So we have flippers, shovels. There's your pickers.
Revellers have left over 6 tons of drunken detritus strewn across the city centre. The army of street sweepers and jet washers needed to clean it up costs thousands.
The pump is usually down here first, and he's washing everything down. Usually got the scarab going round. And then you've got the A-team, which is me and Alan, that we goes through and we do all the litter picking, we're doing all the fountains, all the stuff what usually the scarabs can't get to. You're gonna go down the outside and I'll go through?
Yeah, all right.
In sole charge of meticulously litter picking the top layer of rubbish, Alan and Paul have their work cut out.
Here we go, polystyrene boxes. It's a shame we can't wash them and resell them. We'll make a fortune. Someone spat on the wall, look.
Food packaging makes up an astonishing 7 out of every 10 pieces of litter, so Alan and Paul have become connoisseurs of the city's delicate palate.
Hang on, let's see what they've had. They've had a chicken curry and sticky toffee pudding. He's going to be finding that tomorrow morning.
We'll be finding it in a minute.
Yeah, I expect so. Well, it's obviously he didn't leave any for us.
Never even left us a tip.
Must have been hungry.
But as the top layer of litter ends up in the bin where it belongs, the horrors hidden beneath are revealed.
Oh, a bit of puke as well.
Is there?
Yeah. Oh, it looks like whatever it is. Don't look very pleasant, do it?
Nah. Oh, that's terrible.
Stinks, doesn't it?
Yeah, vile. You get that with your shovel? I dread to think what that is. Smells like chicken tikka.
Yeah.
Go on, have a good whiff of it. Tell me what it is.
I'll have a whiff.
No thanks.
You get used to it, mate, don't you? And
well, a lot of people couldn't clean it up like that because it makes them bad.
Yeah,
Turns their stomach. But
whatever that other stuff was as well.
It's the job, you get used to it.
Yeah, well, that's right, yeah. Watch out for that rat. Oh, someone lost their umbrella.
The shops will open for business in an hour. Alan and Paul are chasing the clock to finish the mammoth clean-up.
Here's a bit of a push sometimes, because you must complete it, get it done. Here's a quite big area to cover.
With several streets still grime-ridden, there's no time to waste for our litter-picking duo.
Glorious feeling, it's raining again.
Right, let's have a look.
Coming up, from picking up puke to picking litter apart.
Oh.
The Essex enforcers launch a forensic search for evidence in their bid to nail the litter louts.
I've got the Willy Wonka golden ticket.
Is it a drive-through?
It is.
And one man's fight to bring down one of Harrow's most brazen fly tippers.
He clearly was confident that he was not going to get caught and he could do what he liked.
It's 7 a.m. in Bristol, and grime duo Paul and Alan are battling the clock to clean up a weekend of drinking carnage before the city goes to work.
It's nice to complete and get things finished, ready for the public for the day.
Supervisor Gary has arrived to check the streets are gleaming.
Paul, go and get that bottle over there. Just go be careful though, crossing the road. Right, it's starting to get lighter now. We need to make sure that the central area is clean before it starts to get busy.
But he isn't happy.
I found a bin that needs emptying, and I found vomit that needs clearing. So the pump guy will come over, he'll wash that down.
After 16 years in the business between them, they've developed a knack for identifying the contents of a drinker's stomach.
Paul, they're sick over there.
Sick?
Yeah, he might have left his false teeth in there as well. I don't know.
That's chicken, that's something.
Yeah.
What do you think that was, Steve?
Chicken. Cider.
All mixed in together.
Oh, no.
Cider and chicken, breakfast of champions, all washed down with a specialist jet wash. But the final course of the day stops even seasoned grime fighters Paul and Alan in their tracks.
Is that what I think it is?
Oh, yeah. Poo. Stuck it on top of the bin. Get a bit of bread and butter.
He went,
Oh, yeah, you can see inside as well, can't you?
Some was on the glass and some was in a bag. Yeah, buy one, get one free. It's gross. Brand spanking new bin costs how much? £5,000 a day each?
Like that, yeah.
And it goes and takes a poo on it.
Yeah.
If you need to go, then you've got to go as emergency, then yeah, but all you've got to do is pull it open and put it in the bin and shut the bin up.
With just an hour left to clean up the streets and boss Gary keeping the pressure on, they have to pick up their pace.
We're working quickly because falling behind a little bit, like you do some weekends.
Paul! Paul! You missed a bit.
Ow! You missed a bit.
It's taken a team of 19 workers over 6 hours to wipe away all traces of the night before across the city centre.
You're doing a service for the public. I don't want to live in a city where it's full of litter and rubbish, and that's the sort of enjoyment I get out of the job.
But bang on time, Bristol's once again open for business.
That's the last of the bags now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that all of them? Good.
Yeah, that's all the bags.
Some days it's disheartening when people don't seem to care.
We do take a pride in our work. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't do it, and Bristol would be a mess.
While Alan and Paul close the lid on Bristol's clean-up, across the UK, there are armies of street cleaners and enforcers working flat out against the tidal wave of waste dumped by criminal fly tippers.
Got a dress here, Donald?
Clearing them up costs the taxpayer £58 million a year. But councils are fighting back.
Name and address, so that's ideal. It's passed to enforcement.
Investing millions in specialist training and covert operations means officers can make the most of detective techniques in their bid to catch prolific fly tippers and bring them to justice.
What we have uncovered here is vital evidence to a police investigation.
Something Enforcement Officer Andreas knows only too well from his pursuit of one of the country's most prolific serial dumpers.
The description that came from the various people who had dealings with this individual always mentioned that he had an Irish accent, always mentioned that he was very well-mannered, very charming, very personable, and the sort of person you wouldn't doubt would do an honest day's work. He'd basically walk along a road like this, see them old trolleys down there, I'll take them away for you for a £5. They give him £5, he puts them in the vehicle. That's how he basically operated. Off the waste would go, the residents would think no more about it, but unfortunately, he was just driving into sites pretty much like this garage site, chucking them on the road in the end, you know, just throwing the rubbish out everywhere.
The more super sleuth Andreas looked, the more fly tips he discovered which fit his offender's MO, revealing 4.5 tons worth of household and commercial waste over an 8-month dumping spree, making thousands in illegal profits.
He was just so indifferent and brazen once he'd got the money.
Across the country, video evidence and testimony from the public can be crucial in helping councils win a prosecution in court. And in Harrow, it was residents on Andreas's patch who proved key to nailing his man.
This is the wall where it became apparent that he was becoming very confident and very brazen about what he was doing, because he'd picked up some sofas, these sofas here, loaded them just straight on the roof, tied them on very briefly, and as soon as he got out of sight, untied them. And the brazenness of it, I mean, if I can show you the map, we are currently stood just by here, but he only picked them up down the road here. So he literally drove past half a dozen houses, turned the bend out of sight on the same road, pushed them off, drove off to his next job. He clearly was confident that he was not going to get caught, that nobody was going to report him, and he could do what he liked.
But this greedy fly tipper wasn't done there. Preying on the settee owner's neighbour, he offered to take away some old TVs for them too.
While they were loading the van with the other stuff, the sofas from the other site, the next door house, he just tucked the TV and stand behind the wall, and the resident who paid for the settees realised, told him, and that's when they came up the road and found that the settees had been dumped. That resident paid good money to have stuff removed. Clearly he hadn't got value for money, and he was aggrieved about that as much as anything. And when I questioned him and asked him about it, he agreed to give me a statement.
The noose was tightening.
It became my #1 job then to bring this case up to court.
Over 12 months, Andreas collected all the evidence he needed to build a watertight case to bring the Lord of the Fly Tippers down. This is just one of thousands of fly tippers believed to be roaming the UK at any one time. And while they may be determined to flaunt the law, councils are constantly striving to find new ways to catch them. And in Essex, Claire and Mark have turned their attention from cigarette butt tossers to this type of dangerous criminal as they investigate a reported fly tip in a lay-by.
Look at the state of that. Oh, look at all this. Loads of it.
And it's been set fire?
The ditch is strewn with rubbish, which appears to have been burnt out.
This is really dangerous, what someone's done here. Them canisters could have gone off like a bomb. I don't know what that says. Carbon dioxide.
Keep away from fire, i.e. don't set fire to it.
I'm just going to check this bag here. No receipt.
This isn't domestic, is it?
Well, to me, it looks like some sort of air conditioning unit.
With a mix of commercial and household waste, this dump carries all the hallmarks of an experienced fly tipper who's learnt how to cover their tracks.
Oh, it's rain stopped. Is there a rainbow anywhere?
Yeah, behind you.
Ah, so it is.
But there's no pot of gold for Claire and Mark beneath this pile of filth.
It makes me very, very angry. But onwards and upwards. Oh, I'm feeling very damp. How about you?
The bottom is.
A specialist clear-up team will remove the hazardous cesspit. But this zero-tolerance duo are determined to return back to HQ with something to show for their afternoon chasing the lay-by litter-louts.
Keep your eyes on the verges.
My eyes are permanently peeled. You may have to do an emergency stop because it is worth risking everything. If I see some McDonald's, you know this, don't you?
Yeah.
They're heading to a lay-by near a popular drive-through where fast food means fast litter.
Got quite a bit of litter
Yeah.
coming in now, and that's the kind of distance that if you're going to grab and eat in your car, you've often finished by that point.
Yeah.
So it's straight out the window, but it's all along here. Look at that.
Drivers may feel anonymous when they litter, but they've obviously not met this pair of waste warriors determined to make every offender pay.
Hopefully we will see some receipts, which will then make my day.
Your favourites. We will follow these people to the nth degree. It's Boogie.
It's Boogie.
And their secret weapon? A single time-dated drive-through receipt can be matched to a vehicle registration number and its owner. But first, they've got to find one.
No receipt.
Another beer can. Brings a whole new meaning to drink driving, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
The first step is to feast on some drive-through tucker.
Oh, there's some more fast food. Right.
Fingers crossed.
No.
Oh,
No.
gutted.
I have to get one.
Claire's not one to give up easily.
Right, let's go and litter blast the other side of this path. I find the ultimate insult, personally, when you are called a job's worth.
Yeah.
Because I'm not just doing a job, I'm doing it because I've got a passion for what I'm doing, which is keeping the environment clean. No, there it is. That's what I saw on the way round to...
Yeah. 3 or 4 bags there.
What are we going to do? Because there's no pavement.
Risking life and limb in the name of litter enforcement, nothing will stop Claire's pursuit of potentially hot evidence.
Back go.
Right, let's have a look. Oh, oh, oh.
Oh, no way.
I've got the Willy Wonka golden ticket.
Is it a drive-through?
It is. Yeah, register. Yeah.
Yeah, you sure?
Positive.
Yay!
It's till 17, order 83. This £quarter and no pickles. We've got a time, an order number and a till number. They might be able to track that down.
It might be a new level of excitement, if they can.
Can I get a portion of fines with that, please?
We're past the A team now with the A+ team, aren't we?
With the A+ team now.
If the restaurant comes up with a match, the litter louter responsible will feel stuffed when he gets a £100 fine through the post.
We can go to this fast food restaurant now and give them these details, and under the enforcement side of things, they will release the information.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. Yeah.
Happy days.
Happy days.
It's been a productive day for these dogged enforcers, determined to hit the litter louts of Braintree where it hurts. Coming up, enforcers Claire and Mark get a filthy surprise on the way back to base.
I don't think I've ever seen someone do that. Have you?
And it's Judgment Day for Harrow's Lord of the Fly Tips.
Fines can be handed out in quite unusual ways. So it's then that you hold your breath.
White van fly tippers are the scourge of enforcement officers across the country. But when they're caught in the act, like this man in Braintree, they'll be held to account.
Did you deposit this waste in this location?
The next catalogues, I dropped 2 GIs a bit to that.
There's more than that.
Is there more than that?
And made to pay.
Fly tipping, right, so the fixed penalty notice is £400.
Over 69,000 penalties were dished out to fly tippers across the UK last year. Caught on camera, this incriminating footage allowed Haringey to slap this offender with a £900 fine. And this brazen tipper didn't tire of ruining this Buckinghamshire beauty spot until he was hit with more than £2 grand in fines. But bringing these fly tippers to book is far from straightforward, as investigator Andreas discovered after a year-long painstaking investigation into Harrow's most prolific fly tipper.
Once we actually sat down and collated all the case files, we realised we had 11 separate offences to deal with.
A treasure trove of evidence linked the 65-year-old suspect to fly tipping offences over an 8-month period. Not only in Harrow, but across county borders in Watford and Buckinghamshire.
What I want to do is give a case that's good enough so that it no longer becomes a business option for him, that he gets fined so much that he wants to get legal or he wants to quit. And I have to build a good enough case file to inform the magistrates towards that decision.
In November 2016, the case was finally brought to Hendon magistrates.
At court, before he had a chance to offer his usual defence of first time, his counsel was made aware that we were bringing in his previous convictions, and we had evidence of that, which immediately changed his plea from not guilty to guilty.
Faced with insurmountable evidence, there was no wriggling out of this one.
Once we actually finished, he's pleaded guilty and found guilty for the Section 33 offences. It's then that you hold your breath in a way, because fines can be handed out in quite unusual ways.
And Harrow's notorious Lord of the Fly Tips was slammed with nearly £6 grand in fines and received a suspended prison sentence for 1 year before they seized his transit van and crushed it.
On top of that, he was ordered to pay the cost to the authority. The public purse was not affected, we got all our money back, so it was a good result across the board for us.
It took 12 months of investigation, but this notorious fly tipper was finally banged to rights.
His undoing was essentially that he probably was under the assumption that we wouldn't have the time to investigate, and he may have thought it's worth the gamble, it doesn't matter. They probably haven't got enough people to go after me. As it turns out, he became so prolific that he would have become a priority for any authority. We got the right result, we stopped fly tipping, we protected the environment. It was just a lovely day to do the job.
But for every investigation brought to a successful conclusion, another one is just beginning. And in Braintree, on their way back to HQ, tireless enforcers Mark and Claire have spotted something.
Can you believe it? Where's that come from? Let's take a look.
A pile of dumped waste on the roadside is something these hardened waste warriors simply can't ignore.
It's a complete eyesore.
And they're looking for someone to punish.
Ooh,
I can't imagine there'll be evidence in there.
No, there's not going to be any evidence at all, is there?
It's builder's waste again.
Builder's waste, yeah. So frustrating that they think it's OK to just dump their crap. I'm going to take some pictures and get in contact with them, because that camera is right on this spot.
Yeah.
Eagle-eyed Claire thinks a restaurant over the road has CCTV, which might have caught the fly tipper in the act.
Oh, hi there.
Oh.
We're from Braintree District Council.
It looks like the A-team's luck is in when the restaurant owner pops out to see what's going on.
Looks like, is that a camera?
Yes.
We're just wondering if you might have any footage of how and when that waste appeared.
Well, that one is just within some working in the building.
So it's yours, is it? Oh, right, OK.
They found their not-so-mysterious fly tipper who claims it's his waste. But that doesn't mean he's off the hook.
Do Do you own that land? Because that would be deemed as a fly tip, really, if you don't own that. And even then, it's quite unsightly.
To be honest, it's the building just chucking in there, it's all right.
But it's still your responsibility.
Claire and Mark have got him cornered. He either clears it up or he'll be slapped with a £400 fine.
Even if it's on private land, if it's unsightly and detrimental to the environment, then we still can ask you to clear up. The approach that we take is a zero-tolerance approach. So whether or not it's his land, from my point of view, it's unacceptable.
The man will have to act fast to escape the wrath of Claire and Mark.
It appears that the gentleman we spoke to has decided to come up and clear it up straight away. Yeah. Admittedly, it shouldn't have been there, but he's coming to clean it up, being proactive in sorting it out, so good.
Zero tolerance means zero time wasting for this individual.
I don't think I've ever seen someone do that. Have you?
Not quite so quickly.
So who scared him the most, me or you?
You, obviously.
He escapes a fine this time, but it's still a victory for Claire and Mark in their mission to clean up our country.
All right, appreciate it, thank you.
All right.
Seriously, very much appreciate it, thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Maybe you just needed that little nudge, eh?
Result.
Result. What are we?
We are the A-team.
Yay!
Nice job. Well
nice
done.
job.
Gary made a comment once. He said, wouldn't it be a lovely day when we could go out and then we never had nothing to do?
And we could go straight home with full pay.
With full pay.
Yeah, he did.
So don't forget, keep Britain tidy.
Next time.
Oh, my goodness me.
In Malvern, the enforcement team face a tide of rubbish.
I think what I tipped out is excrement, all sorts of rotten food.
In Buckinghamshire, the hunt is on for a tiresome tipper.
I was expecting to have a report of somebody swerving into the hedge at least.
And in Braintree, enforcement officers on the trail of criminal dog poo litterers.
Well, I can't even lift the thing.
Hit the motherlode.
Yep, we've got maggots.
This is a health hazard.
Oh, shit.